All right. Hey, everybody. Great to be with you. Glad you're with us. Thanks for joining us. No matter how you found your way here today, I'm so glad that you made it. I know that there are a lot of places you could be, but man, I am so grateful that you decided to join us at Harbor Point. And I know for a lot of you, if you're new, you're worried about what you walked into, who's here, who's in the room. And I just want to tell you, man, you can just relax. This is a group of people who do not have everything figured out. We don't have all the answers. As we say a lot around here, this is a group of people who are convinced that we all need Jesus and we need each other. And so we're all making our own sort of way toward him. And everybody's got a next step. So however you came in here, you're in good company. Everybody's got a next step to take. So grateful that you're with us. Glad you made it. My name's Jeff. I'm one of the pastors here. And man, anybody who you can talk to here would love to help you take your next step, help you get connected, whatever it takes. So glad that you made it. Let's get right to this today as we got some stuff to cover. Recently, my youngest son just celebrated his 17th birthday. And so being that it's his 17th birthday, he's the one who gets to choose, like where are we going to, to dinner or whatever, right? So the odds on, like bets were all like, he's going to say Chipotle because for a couple of reasons. One is the past like 3 or 4 birthdays that he's had, he was like, I just want to go to Chipotle. And by virtue of the fact that he also goes to Chipotle, I want to say, not exaggerating, between 3 and 5 times a week. He has a job, he just goes and he orders the same thing. He's tried like 2 or 3 times to order something different. He's always exactly the same thing every single time since he was a little kid. And we're like, for sure, we're going to Chipotle, which is great. Who doesn't love a burrito, whatever. Now, but that's not what he says. When we say, where do you want to go for your birthday dinner? He says something different. What he says is what translates roughly into these words right here. Wok, like as in the Asian bowl, the cooking sort of pan. Wok, peace, abundance. Now, what that translates as is that, or how that literally translates, what he said is these 3 words. Din, Tai, Fung. Now, if you've never been there, this place is amazing. And what their specialty, it's Taiwanese food, and their specialty is something called xiaolong bao. And to give you an idea, if you've never had this before, some of you already know what I'm talking about, but it's like, the best way to describe it is imagine the best, like most savory, delicious kind of soup wrapped into a doughy, steamy ball, like a little container. Now, the way that you eat it, because they're like, when you show up there, they always ask you like, hey, I've been there now twice. So like, have you guys been here before? And they're like, if you haven't, let me just show you how to do this. And what you do is they serve these dumplings, this xiaolong bao, in a like a bamboo kind of container. It's steaming. It's unbelievable. They pull it off, and it's like a magic trick. Like smoke comes out, all the steam. And what you do is you grab it with your chopsticks, and then you put it, dip it in kind of this spicy sauce, like savory sauce, and then you put that into a spoon. So imagine you have a spoon, chopsticks. You put it in the spoon. Then you puncture the outside of this dumpling with the chopsticks, and then the soup kind of fills the spoon, and you can see just every little texture of the soup. And then you drink the soup, and then you eat the dumpling, and it is like, it's amazing. And we ordered so many of these things. It was like a tower of these bamboo little containers that were and there's like, I don't know how many in there, 7 or 8 inside of each one of these things, and we just would grab these things, dip it in the sauce, put it in the spoon, puncture it, slurp, repeat over and over and over again. And we were filled, in a manner of speaking, to the fullness. And it was so good. It was so good. I think, it's like, we ate so much I didn't need, if I would have tried, if they would have served me more, I would have tried to eat more, but I didn't need any more. It was so good. And it wasn't about the food, and it wasn't about the expensive restaurant. It was about something else. It was about like not needing a lot of things. It was about not needing to fix anything. It was one of those rare moments where I felt like I didn't need any approval. I didn't need any self-validation. I didn't need to kind of do anything else but just be there. I didn't need to be somewhere else. It was so good. What's that? Like, because whatever that is, that's worth repeating. That's worth replicating somehow. That was something. A couple weeks ago, we started a series called The Happiness Machine. And as we talk about happiness, and while there's lots of different definitions and a lot of different ways to sort of characterize happiness, the way we've been sort of utilizing the definition would be sort of like this. It's about fullness or completeness or sort of, wholeness perhaps. And so whenever it is that we're talking about our search for happiness is in effect a search for completeness. It's not just sort of we're looking for what's missing, if that makes sense. Like we started this series asking the question, if in fact we're looking for something, then what's missing? And if we're searching for a missing thing, what is that thing? And if we got it, as we talked, the past couple of weeks, if we got that thing, would it really give me everything that I'm looking for? What's missing? For most of us, our own encounter with getting the things that we wanted, we kind of get this moment where reality hits us, where it leaves us feeling a bit short. Like whatever we did get, when we did get it, it wasn't quite, what we thought it would be. Like when it comes to happiness, though, one of the things to keep in mind is happiness really isn't about the thing that we're looking for, the finding and searching for it. It's not really about the thing. It's about imagining something, actually. It's not about the thing. It's about imagining a feeling. It's about imagining how I'll feel when I have the thing that I don't have. It's about imagining how I'll feel something I don't feel right now. Like, it's not about the car. It's about how I'll feel when I get that car. It's not about the vacation. It's about how I'll feel on it and after it. It's not about the shoes. It's not about whether or not I get the girlfriend or the boyfriend. It's not about whether I reach the goal or get the promotion or whatever else, whatever other thing we got going on. All of those things are really about the feeling that we think we're going to have because we don't have it now. That's what's missing, we think. And the heartbreaking thing is that this feeling, for a lot of us, it never really measures up. It's never quite what we thought it would be. This is, of course, the brokenness and the happiness machine that the world kind of has for us. It's that it's never quite there. And if it is there, if we do manage to get this feeling the way we expected it to be, it just doesn't really last long enough to even really enjoy it. It just fades away. And so the Bible says it like this about this sort of happiness machine, that the world and its desires, they pass away. I came across an article recently, and the writer is from the United Kingdom. So this is a British person who's before she moved to the United States a year before she wrote the article. And this is her observation of Americans and their own pursuit of happiness. Here's what she says. Happiness in America has become the overachiever's ultimate trophy. A vicious trump card. It outranks professional achievement and social success, family, friendship, and even love. Its invocation can deftly minimize others' achievements, as in, well, I suppose she has the perfect job and a gorgeous husband, but is she really happy? And it also takes the shine off our own achievements. This obsessive, driven, relentless pursuit is a characteristically American struggle. The exhausting daily application of the Declaration of Independence, as in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But at the same time, this elusive MacGuffin is also creating a nation of nervous wrecks. Despite being the richest nation on earth, the United States is, according to the World Health Organization, by a wide margin, also the most anxious, with nearly a third of Americans likely to suffer from an anxiety problem in their lifetime. America's precocious levels of anxiety are not just happening in spite of the great national happiness rat race, but also perhaps because of it. And in America, happiness is work. It's intense, nail-biting work, slogged out in motivational seminars and therapy sessions, meditation retreats, and airport bookstores. The initial sense, she says, the initial sense of promise and hope is seductive, but it soon gives way to a nagging, slow burn feeling of inadequacy. Am I happy? Am I happy enough? As happy as everyone else? And could I be doing more about it? The goal is so elusive and so hard to define, it's impossible to pinpoint when it's even been achieved. It's a recipe, she says, for neurosis. How we relate. Like we're driving ourselves crazy to try to be happy, but we keep chasing it, can't quite get there. And we get there, we're sort of wondering, is our happiness as good as it ought to be, as good as someone else's? It's just driving us mad. I think it was John Stuart Mill who said, those only are happy who have their minds fixed on some object other than their own happiness. Ask yourself whether you are happy, and you cease to be so. To say it a little bit differently, maybe it's like making happy a goal. As soon as we make happiness a goal, we're almost bound to miss it. Like maybe being happy or happiness, whatever that is an outcome of something else. not a goal. So what's that look like? Now, if we started with the question, what's missing, probably what we ought to consider that's connected to it is a related question, which is this right here. Well, what's enough? Like, what's missing? And then if I got it, would that be enough? What's enough? Probably more specifically, you could say it like this. What's required for enough to finally be enough? What's enough to finally required to finally be enough? The happiness machine, our world, it has an answer. And it's the most wearisome, exhausting, life-draining kind of answer. And all of us, we all know better, but we somehow can't extricate ourselves from it. We still buy into it, sometimes quite literally. The answer from the world about what's required for enough to be enough? More. Just more. Whatever I have now, I just need more of it. Whatever I want that I don't have, I'm going to need something. I'm going to need more of that. What's required for enough to be enough, at least according to the way the world describes it, is just more. We just need more. One piece of ancient wisdom says it like this. It says, like, whoever loves money never has enough, more, right? Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This is meaningless. Then he goes on, skipping forward a bit. I have seen a grievous evil under the sun. Grievous evil. Like, this is really bad. This is really undoing what was intended by God for his people. Like, this is a huge, it's an evil, a grievous evil. Wealth hoarded to the harm of its owners. In other words, like the acquiring of stuff, it's not only ineffective at giving us what we want, it's harmful to those who do it. More. And I guess we could kind of expand the idea of wealth to include some more things, perhaps. Like maybe just we kind of think about it in terms of like more than me, more than you, more than them, a little bit more. Maybe it's a little more attention. Maybe it's like a little more fun, a little more freedom, a little more credit, a little more excitement, a little more hair, a little more control maybe, more horsepower. That's what I need, more horsepower, more square footage. That's just a little bit more. Maybe some more options. Maybe some more buddies. Maybe a little more golf or a little more surfing or a little more vacation or a little bit more calm or maybe just more guacamole. More. A little more of that and I'd be filled. You know, in the wisdom tradition of the Bible, there's this one person, the same guy actually we heard from a second ago, who has both the means and the ability and the permission to give himself everything in an unending stream of more. And here's his reflection on that. I'm going to show you his reflection in a second. And I want you to pay attention to the amount of times he uses I followed by a verb, something he did or created or made. Right? You with me? You'll see it in a second. I highlighted it as much as I could. But here's his reflection on all of what has been acquired, all of this unending stream of more. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 4. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees, and I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings and provinces. I acquired male and female singers, a harem as well, the delights of a man's heart. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was my reward for all my toil. This is a person he's got so much more. He's got more that's even out of bounds. Even culturally, back in the time of its writing, he's still talking about stuff that he got that was out of bounds, that he had acquired and taken for himself. He has an unending stream of more. He had more people, he had more things, he had more wealth, and everybody seemed to know it. Here's his reaction, verse 11. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless. a chasing after the wind, nothing was gained under the sun. To paraphrase, no amount of more will ever be enough. No amount of more will ever be enough. To take it one step further, the more I chase more, the further away enough will get. The more I chase, or of course there it says there more I chase more, but also though, even if I chase extra letters in the word there, the more I chase more, the further away enough will get. The more I chase more, the further away enough gets. Even perhaps more soberingly is to say it this way: if what I have now, brace yourself, if what I have now isn't enough, then getting more will not be the answer. If what I have right now isn't already enough, then getting more isn't going to be the answer. See, the most essential component of like kind of a lasting sort of happiness is also the most difficult for us to kind of come across in a more culture, this that we live in. And it's the thing that we think we can buy or achieve or earn. It's the thing that we think we'll finally get to. It's the place of arrival we think we're going to get to. And it's this word right here: contentment. Contentment. The Apostle Paul will write about it like this. Philippians 4:11, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. Let's talk about what content is. Here's the word content. This is the Greek transliteration, autarkeia, which literally means self-sufficient. And I just want to put a pause on that for a second, because when you and I hear the term self-sufficient, we tend to think about a person who's so fully independent who never needed help. That's how the 21st century Western kind of, American kind of folks will think about it. But it's actually something a little bit different than that. And it's subtle, but you'll have to, hopefully this will make sense. When we talk about being content, we're talking about something else. It's about having all that is needed and needing nothing more. Having all that's needed and needing nothing more. Having all that's needed, and no matter what changes, no matter what I have or don't have, no matter what inconveniences or challenges that I face, I have all that I need and I don't need anything more. Let's back up and look at the verse one more time. He says, I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. What's really critical to catch, right? It's easy to miss too, is that he says, I have learned to be content. Which means this is something that when you start out doing it, you won't be good at it. Like, you won't be good at it at first, and it's not just simply a gift he received, it's this, he's talking about it. He's saying, I've learned to do this, which means it's not something that's automatic and it's not something that's passive. It's a skill that can be honed or developed, which means there's that awkward phase where you're trying to do a thing that you don't know how to do and it feels a little bit backwards and it's kind of screwed up. He's saying that's part of this. You can learn it. I've learned to be content. Continuing on. I've learned to be content, whatever the circumstances, and I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty, and I have learned the secret of being content. Now, when you and I hear the word secret, like we can imagine, just sort of as a like a blog post or something about the idea of like, listen, here's the six secrets to how to be content. It's just like you can click through. Here's the life hacks you can take on. Here's a tip for how to be content. Like it's almost sort of like it's the vegetable you didn't know if you added it to your diet, it would be the superfood. It's the one thing that if you added it, it would be terrific. That kind of idea. So you and I think when we hear the word secret, but it's probably a little more than that, because he says, look, I know what it is to have plenty, and I have learned, once again, the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. Just think about this for a moment. This guy who's writing this guy, Paul, I've actually seen where he wrote this. I've seen this. He was actually writing from a jail. He's in prison for telling people about Jesus. The content of this particular letter that he's writing from prison, and he's talking about joy almost exclusively. And here he's talking about contentment. And he says, I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. So if anybody's going to tell you that they know what it's like to be content in any circumstances, it's him. He's in jail. in any and all situation and circumstance. All I can think about is how little it takes for me to be discontented. I mean, it does not take very much at all. If someone screws up my fast food order, and I'm like, I didn't order that, and I'm trying to eat this on my way home while balancing the steering wheel and the Coke at the same time while eating something, it better be the thing I ordered, because I'm already endangering everybody else around me. If I'm going to do this, it better be the thing. I'm like infuriated by that. How discontented I am. How long it takes to sit in traffic. How the things I planned it's like I can go from zero to discontent like that. And he says, I've learned the secret to be content in every situation, any and every circumstance and situation. Here's what he says. I can do all of this. I can do all this. Let's think about what all this is. All this. I can be content after I didn't realize I spilled coffee on my shirt in my first meeting after I've had 2 or 3 more in the rest of the day. I have everything I need. I'm okay. Maybe if I forgot my lunch on the counter, I got to the office and I realized my lunch is still on the counter. I left it at home. And then I get home later to try to find it. And I realize my dog has also decided to enjoy my lunch and it's everywhere. And I'm waiting for the dog to have that reaction to what dogs eat people food later on. When it rains every day on vacation, all situations. When I've lost my keys. When I've lost control. When the letter from the admissions department says, we regret to inform you. When my boss says, we need to talk. When the diagnosis is the exact opposite of our most sincere prayer. When she says it's over. When the money's gone. When they're gone. When I'm all alone. When I clearly do not have all that I need. That's what he's talking about. To paraphrase Paul, the writer here, in effect what he's saying is this: I have all I need, even when I don't have anything I need. I have all I need, even when I don't have anything I need. In devastation, I'm not devastated. In loss, I don't lose it. I have all I need when I don't have anything that I need. Now, maybe that is the thing that we're looking for. That's way different than what the happiness machine of the world would ever possibly hope to imagine to give to us. So how do we find it? How do we get it? Let me walk you through this. He says, once again, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Let me pause really quickly here. For those of you who grew up in the church, this verse does not have the word this there. It has I can do all things. And it's usually, maybe you saw it when you went to some summer camp and there was like a rock climbing wall and there was like, this is the Bible verse they put there so you can feel pumped up to climb the rock wall or whatever. I had it on my Letterman jacket when I was in high school, like, wow, we're going to beat Mater Dei or whatever. Sorry if you went to Mater Dei, but go us. Anyway, but the whole point is, it was like, this is about, we took this verse out of context and it was all about how I can conquer whoever I wanted to beat, or I could get my goal or whatever. Well, that's great. That's just not what it says. The focus of this verse is about being able to be content. And notice what he says. He says, I can do it through him who gives me strength. Like, it's not just a piece, it's actually whatever this is. It's not through him who changes my circumstances, though he can. It's through him who gives me strength. The heart of contentment is strength. In other words, contentment doesn't hinge on things changing, though God can do that sometimes. It doesn't hinge on things changing. It hinges on the strength that he gives me to get through the things that do not change. It's not that contentment hinges on things changing. Contentment is about the strength that we get to go through things that won't change. And that's strength. And what's being described here is a deeply spiritual dimension of how you and I interact with reality. Through him. Through him. You see, the Bible is so much more than like a moral code. So many of us have the idea that it's essentially a moral code, or it's like kind of a spiritual ninja warrior test. Like if you can do all the like challenges, then you can go on to the next level, and then God's like, hey, you made it to this level. Here's an even harder challenge. And this is how we kind of imagine the Bible, but it's not even close. The Bible is this story. It's the recollection of how God is making his way throughout the story of the Bible to be with us, to make his home with us, to dwell among us. When you get to the part of the Bible that includes the New Testament, which includes Jesus and his ministry in the early church, it goes even further than just that God would come to make his home among us. Check out the language of the Bible. Look what it says. I'm going to go through this really quickly. Look at this, Ephesians 3:17, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, not just among us, but in your hearts. Keep on going. Do you not realize that Christ Jesus is in you? Galatians 2:20, I have been crucified with Christ, and it's I who no longer live, but Christ who lives in me. Colossians 1, God has chosen to make known the glorious riches of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. So that means when Paul is talking about like how this contentment that he's got, he's drawing from a deep well within himself, but it's not him. He's drawing from a deep well, but it's not him. To say it differently, the self-sufficiency of this idea of contentment isn't from him. It's not from himself. To put it in more personal terms, the way the Bible is describing, those words are all describing, it's called the indwelling of Christ into believers' hearts through faith, right? Here's one way to sum it up, that the strength that is in me is not strength that is from me. This is a radically different idea from the way the world talks about it. The world will talk about find the strength in you, draw it out, pull it out. But what's being described in the Bible is that the strength that is in you comes from Jesus who resides in you. So when it says, I need the strength to be able to, I can make it through these things, I am able to be content, it's because I'm drawing from strength that's not from me, but it is in me. Whoa. The strength that is in me is not strength that is from me. Now, when it comes to contentment and the idea of having that come through, through him, who's Christ is in, I realize there's lots of questions with that. And for some of you, this is too big of a hurdle to jump. I get it. But this is what the Bible describes. So it's worth kind of at least giving you a couple things to think about. First is this, the first marker, and I would say probably in some ways one of the initiators as well of contentment, the first marker of contentment is gratitude. It's gratitude. It is the ability to say, not to an impersonal capital U universe, the sort of the out there universe of, whatever kind of gratitude directed toward no one, but really it's directed toward Jesus. The Bible will say that Jesus is he's the maker, the creator, and the sustainer of the entire universe. Elsewhere, it will say that every good and perfect gift comes from above, comes from the Father above. So let me just give you some things around which to think about gratitude and then how you might direct them. Here's just a couple verses earlier in Philippians 4, verse 8. Paul writes, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Direct gratitude toward the one who gives those things. What's so surprising is that while the more I chase more, the further away enough gets. What's so surprising is that the more I chase gratitude, the closer enough gets. When I'm chasing more, the farther away enough gets, but the more I chase gratitude, the closer enough gets. The more I chase gratitude, the closer enough gets. Like maybe there's something to be said about the idea of just having a moment to be grateful. I'm going to give you a prayer, and it's going to come in two parts. I'll give you the first part. Some of you, you can jump right in the first part, and you'll be like, I got this. Some of you will need the second part. It's okay. No matter how close you are to Jesus, no matter how long you've been walking with Jesus, both are okay. Check this out, okay? Here's the prayer. This is the only action step essentially for this week. Something you can take away with you is just simply this. Jesus, because of you, I have enough. Thank you. Some of you, you're like, I got that. That's easy. Others, you're like, I'm not there yet. I get it. So while you're thinking about it, let me just give you a story. Last week, my oldest son came home for a couple days. It was great. We got to hang out, and he, there's like, so that's during what some of you know, the Ohana Fest was happening right at Doheny, and so he's like, why don't we go surfing? So we go surfing on Friday, and there's like nobody in the water. There's no surf. The surf was terrible. It was really small, which was like, this is my kind of thing, and I'm surfing out there, and we're just kind of hanging out, and we could hear the music, and it was great. And then the next day he was like, Dad, let's surf. Maybe it was Sunday. He's like, let's surf on Sunday. I'm like, okay. So we go back out. But now there's a hurricane swell that's kind of pushing the way. A lot of you guys were out, and it was huge. In fact, I saw a lot of you there. I saw people out in the water. I'm like, oh, great, now I'm there. And my son is like, you should surf with us, but you're going to need to, you got to surf. If you're going to surf with us, Dad, you can't take out a longboard. You got to be on a shorter board. And so I grab a shorter board, and it's like, to me, it feels like a potato chip underneath me, and I'm paddling. I'm out of breath. I'm hating it. I'm getting out into the water. Meanwhile, the Ohana Fest is going on, and I'm sitting out there, and I'm like, there's all these people. It's so crowded, and I run into a bunch of people who are in the water from our church, and they're like, hey, Jeff, what's going on? And I'm like, oh my gosh, now they're going to know. I'm not safe to be out here. Someone should rescue this guy. I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so self-conscious. He shouldn't even be out here. So I'm like, whatever. And I'm having just like the worst time. I'm trying to figure it out. And it dawns on me. I was like, okay, so the band lineup that's playing at Ohana Fest at like, whatever time it was in the afternoon isn't like the headliner, but it's like, I think I recognize that band. Didn't they have like a song that was in like a Hyundai commercial in 2018 or something? So like I can kind of recognize the band. And I'm like, I'm out here listening. There's a soundtrack now to whatever I'm doing, which is mostly paddling and almost drowning. But the water's warm, and I'm with my son and his buddy, and I finally catch this wave, and I'm like, why am I have enough. Jesus, I have enough, thank you. And I catch this wave, and in my mind, I was like, I'm probably picking up a sponsorship. After the third turn, I'm like, people are getting out their cameras. Who's that? So I'm imagining, of course. And my son, to make it worse, and his buddy are like, woo, woo, they're screaming at me, yeah! And I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm being patronized by them. But of course, I just try to make up this big old turn. And I'm like, this is the best. And I just dive off my board, and my leash breaks, and it goes all the way into I was like, I think I'm done. But because of you, Jesus, I have enough. Thank you. It's not complacency. It's not that everything is okay. Yes, even the Apostle Paul has to do some confrontation. He has some issues he's got to deal with. But it isn't just a constant stream of sort of confrontational antagonism that we're told we're supposed to live with. It's that sometimes it's very appropriate to go, Jesus, because of you, I have enough. Thank you. Now, one more note. Whenever in the Bible God does something for us that we cannot do on our own, the word for that is grace. Grace. So when it comes to a prayer like this, why not borrow kind of a page out of Paul's writing, which says, why don't you ask for the strength that you don't have? Like, just let's literally ask Jesus to do what I can't do. Jesus, because of you, I have enough. Thank you. Give me the strength to see what you've already given me. The strength to see what you've already given me is all I need. Maybe it's pretty hard to sort of recognize at different times in your life. And there are good reasons. And people, there are good reasons to be crying out to God for help, because there is something missing for sure. And this isn't exhaustive about every single possible scenario in the Bible, but for so many of us, maybe that something we're looking for is more geared around the idea of going, I could rely on a strength that God gives to give me more than even I thought was possible, because in whatever he gives me, I have enough. His presence might be enough. I want to show you, there's a famous sort of a prayer that it's called the prayer of St. Patrick. You know, St. Patrick, you know, the Irish guy, right? So his story is that he was a British kid. He got kidnapped by Irish pirates. He was under their own sort of forced labor. He escaped back to Britain. Then he gave his life to Jesus and felt like God had called him to go back to Ireland, where the people had kidnapped him, and lead them to Jesus. This is his story. It's amazing. You think of a person who would ever need strength to like be content, to go and lead the people who held you captive to, I mean, it's amazing. So I'm going to read you part of it, and then I'm going to show you part of it, and then we'll close. Here's his prayer. And it's a little, you get it, it's old, but here you get it. Here's what he says. I bind unto myself today the power of God to hold and lead, his eye to watch, his might to stay, his ear to hearken to my need. So you get the idea of the strength he's calling on. The wisdom of my God to teach, his hand to guide, his shield to ward, the word of God to give me speech, his heavenly host to be my guard. Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me. Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet and Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, and Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. And then he concludes, Eternal Father, Spirit, Word, praise to the Lord of my salvation, my rescue. Salvation is of Christ, the Lord. May we, through him, be filled to all the fullness and contentment that he might bring. Let's pray together. Jesus, where we are empty, where we are longing, where we're trying to fill it with anything that we can find, might you fill us, Jesus. Might we just for a moment pause to acknowledge that because of you, we have what we need. Thank you. Thank you. Jesus, where we are not experiencing that, where we don't know it, would you give us the strength to find it? And so, Jesus, in these moments and in this place, would you, Christ, be in us, forming us, and filling us? It's in your name that we pray. Amen.